Now for our ETF Spotlight, taking a look this morning at the VanEck Vector Semiconductor ETF, the ticker SMH, and the iShares Philly Semiconductor ETF, that is SOSXX, each of them hitting a new intraday record high. Of course, today's catalyst, upbeat quarterly results and guidance from Intel. Shares of the Dow component now up more than 7% and responsible, along with American Express, for most of the upside in the Dow at the moment. John Fortt is here at Post 9 with more on Intel's blowout numbers. John, obviously, Intel seemed to have beat in the right ways for the street.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, sometimes I'm tempted to think of earnings reports in terms of offense and defense. And I think Intel played some really great defense in this quarter. Maybe is what happens when a CFO becomes the CEO. On the top line, they had $20.21 billion in revenue, almost $1 billion better than expectations. EPS strong as well. Now, this was really driven by a few customers, the mega scale cloud players. So think Amazon, Microsoft, Google, maybe a couple of others. What's tricky about those players is it's unclear when they're in a buying cycle and when they're in a digesting cycle. Well, Intel argues that they're in a buying cycle now. Their revenue from them, that's data center cloud, up 48% year over year. And Intel projecting that in the current quarter, that buying is going to continue to be pretty strong. Also, some leftover PC demand from, Intel's been having trouble keeping up with that, as was the case in the holiday season. Question is what happens from here throughout the rest of the year. Intel's guidance for the second half of the year was pretty soft. They're saying part of that is because, like I said, these mega-scale cloud players, you never know when they're going to start to digest. Intel not even saying that they specifically expect that digestion to happen in the second half, just, hey, it might, so we're being careful. Also, some questions on PC demand in the second half and the expected competition from AMD, general weaker total addressable market expected in PCs in the second half of the year. So a really interesting quarter, made more interesting by the masterful way in which the executives manage expectations here.
When you say mega cloud play digestion, what you're talking, that they would slow, their growth would slow down, that they wouldn't buy as much, therefore. But
exactly, David. Like about 4 quarters ago, that happened. Intel got hit with that. They said, oh, well, all of a sudden, these mega-scale cloud players are buying less than we expected. They're in the mode of now just trying to build out customers on the hardware that they've already bought. They've shifted pretty quickly into now building out more hardware. But interesting, we heard from Microsoft and Amazon over the past few weeks. They're ramping up their sales forces, and we see in Intel's earnings that they're also ramping up their spending on hardware. Is that going to continue throughout 20? Because usually it's one or the other, right? You build out the infrastructure and then you go sell it. They're doing both at the same time. You would think they're going to pull back on one eventually, unless demand just continues to be so strong throughout 2020 that it's a race to the finish.